Prehistory, the earliest humans and the Neolithic Revolution. The dating system used in the United States and most of Europe comes from medieval scholars over 1,500 years ago. Divided the timeline of history into two segments. The first segment, BC, which stands for before Christ, are dates before when they thought Jesus was born. These dates count down. The other segment is AD, or Anno Domini, which is Latin for in the year of our Lord. Dates in AD count up. This is an example timeline. The dates on the left are in BC, before Christ. As they move to the right, the dates get lower. The dates on the right-hand side, AD, count upwards. There is no year 0. 1 BC is followed by the year AD 1. Prehistory is the time before writing and written records. It is studied by archaeologists, who are people who study past societies by looking at the objects they left behind, and by anthropologists, who are people who study human life and cultures through fossils. Most people are familiar with archaeology from the Indiana Jones movies, which aren't exactly accurate portrayals of an archaeologist's life and work. Anthropologists do lots of work with human fossils and use their findings to understand how people used to live in the past. Hominids are humans and other creatures that walk upright. The first hominid is called Australopithecine. It's a name that means southern ape. These hominids first appeared around 3 million years ago and look more like a gorilla than a modern human. Australopithecine was followed by Homo erectus, which means upright man. Homo erectus developed around 1.5 million years ago and could use stone tools and fire. Modern humans are Homo sapiens, a name that wise human being. Homo sapiens first developed around 250,000 years ago. Two basic types. First, there are Neanderthals, developed between 100,000 and 30,000 years ago. This group used stone tools and burial rituals, which implies an understanding of religion and a belief in an afterlife. Modern human beings are Homo sapiens sapiens, which means wise human being. Homo sapiens sapiens appeared in Africa between 150,000 and 200,000 years ago. They replaced Neanderthals as the dominant hominid species about 30,000 years ago. All human beings come from this group. The Paleolithic era was a time period from 2,500,000 BC to around 10,000 BC. Paleolithic means old stone. During this time period, human beings relied on hunting and gathering for food and used simple stone tools. Humans during the Paleolithic era were all nomads, moving from place to place and following animal herds. Men and women were both hunters and gatherers. There weren't specific gender roles assigned to either group. If a woman was an excellent, he was a hunter. If a man was good at gathering, he was a gatherer. Early humans followed animals around for food and used tools made out of stone and bone. Sometime around 100,000 BC, an ice age covered Europe, Asia, and North America in ice. Humans used fire and animal hides to keep warm and often lived in caves for protection. The Ice Age lasted from about 100,000 BC until about 8,000 BC. As you can see from the map below, white areas were covered in ice, and it took up half of North America, most of northern Europe, and a good bit of Asia. Following the Ice Age, humans entered what was called the Neolithic Revolution, a time period 8000 BC to 4000 BC. Neolithic means new stone. The Neolithic Revolution was the development of agriculture, or farming, and the development of domestication, or the taming of animals for human use. During the Neolithic Revolution, humans began creating permanent settlements, raising crops, and taming animals instead of just being hunter-gatherers. There were several important consequences of the Neolithic Revolution. First was the development of permanent settlements. People no longer had to be nomads. They were able to settle in a single place and raise their food in that place. Second was job specialization. Unlike during the Paleolithic era, not everyone had to find food during the Neolithic era. So some people could become artisans, skilled workers who made things. Third, we have the development of trade. Individuals didn't have to have everything by themselves. They could trade for what they didn't have. Finally, we had the creation of separate and distinct gender roles for men and women. Not everyone was a farmer, not everyone was a shepherd, not everyone was an artisan. The Neolithic period ended sometime around 4000 BC, as people discovered how to make bronze, a metal that combined the elements of copper and tin into an alloy that was stronger than either of the base elements. The discovery of bronze started the Bronze Age, which lasted from about 3000 BC to about 1200 BC. Bronze was much stronger than stone, and it could hold a much sharper edge. It did take longer to create a bronze weapon or tool than it did to create a stone one, but the results were much more effective and lasted much longer. During the Bronze Age, people developed larger settlements and culture, the way of life that people follow. Some cultures becoming civilizations, or very complex cultures that are identified by 6 important characteristics. All civilizations have these characteristics. First, they have large settlements, called cities. Second, they have a government, an organization that makes and enforces laws. Third, they have some sort of religion or belief system. Fourth, they have structure, different social classes based on abilities and birth. Fifth, they have a written language. And sixth, they have art, often ornamentation found on public buildings.